Much for tuning in. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours live stream where I go live every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time to talk all things claims, careers, coffee, and all kinds of other cool stuff. I'm your host, Josh Fisher, and this stream is brought to you by Crew Talent Group, the greatest claim adjuster recruiting group on the planet. If you're tuning in, jump in the chat. I'd love for you to say hello. And if you enjoy this content, do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me more than you could know. And if you're in claims or you want to be, connect with me on LinkedIn or send me your resume at www.crewtalentgroup.com. I'd love to hear from you. Now it's time for the show. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Happy Tuesday. Hold on, my light on. All kinds of stuff happening here. Give me 1 second. Say hello in the chat if you are hanging out. Love to hear from you. Happy Tuesday. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Welcome to the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. My name is Josh. I go live every single Tuesday. We hang out here for an hour, talk all things claims, recruiting, careers, interview tips, resumes, whatever you want to talk about. Oh, I got this image up. Gotta get my logo back up. See, I'm all kinds of not ready. It's been a busy week here at Crew Talent Group. There we go. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Jamming out, hanging out, having a good time. If you're out there tuning in, we got Vicky saying hello from Gulf Coast Auto Adjusters. Welcome to the live stream, Vicky. Thanks so much for tuning in. We do this every single Tuesday. We go live here on LinkedIn. We also go live on Facebook, YouTube, and in about 20 seconds, we'll also be live on TikTok. So that's pretty cool. Go live. Boom. 3, 2, 1. And we are live on TikTok. Howdy from Florida. We got Audrey in the house. Busy weeks are the best kind. Smiley face. Yes. It's been an awesome week. Shout out Audrey. If y'all don't follow Audrey on LinkedIn, you should be. An awesome, like an inspiration for me. I've been totally upfront about kind of my business dealings, starting my own business the last 9 months. Audrey is one of those people who on paper might be a competitor, although we're not really competitors, but really from the start, I introduced myself. I don't know, I can't even remember how we got connected, but she has just like opened up her bank of knowledge to me and been a huge mentor guide. Awesome human being. Thank you, Audrey. It's been a blessing to get to know you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Just one of the best people ever out there. So if you're not following, if you're not connected with Audrey on LinkedIn, you totally should be. Shout out Audrey. Hope the weather's nice in Florida as it is here in Portland. Okay, we are live on TikTok too. What up, TikTok? Oh, I gotta get my mic on. Yeah, all kinds of unprepared today. It's been just a wild Tuesday. I apologize, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Okay, now we got the TikTok mic. Now you can hear me. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream every single Tuesday at 9 o'clock or maybe 9:06 this week. We go live. We talk all things claims, insurance claims related in terms of recruiting. I'm a recruiter. I work in the claims industry, which means I work with claims professionals. That might be adjusters, examiners, field adjusters, inspectors, appraisers, anybody that works on the life cycle of the claims in terms of insurance. That's where I kind of hang out. And so I go live every Tuesday for 1 hour and talk about things that I see with the goal of trying to help 100 people get jobs in the year 2026. So we're calling it the Road to 100. We're rocking and rolling. So totally open format. We just kind of hang out and talk about things that I hear throughout the week or questions that people have for me. The whole idea is if someone out there on the internet's got a question or wondering or needs help with an interview or resume or whatever it might be, chances are there's another person out there with the same question. And so we're just trying to help people out get jobs. It's a tough market right now. That's the purpose of this live stream. Audrey says, this is how the world should spin, right? Thanks. Yeah, one of my friends, shout out Devry, we were hanging out with my wife and I can't remember how the conversation came up, but she said most people are good at heart. And I don't know, that's just kind of stuck with me this week. I'm thinking about that this week. Most people are good people. And Audrey's certainly one of them. But it's true. That's how the world should spin. Most people are just good people trying to help each other out. So cool. Well, I've got some prepared topics to chat about. If you're out there in the world and you've got something you want to bring, if you've got something that you want to bring to the table or something that you want to talk about, comment either on TikTok or YouTube or wherever on LinkedIn, Facebook. Yeah, go ahead and we'll chat about whatever that might be. Again, this is all about getting jobs in the insurance industry. The sweetest topic that's ever probably been talked about online, getting jobs in insurance. Super fun, super sexy topic, but that's what we're chatting about. So yeah, let's get right into it. Here's a quote that I saw this week, and I thought, oh wait, before the quote, we got a hot job alert. We got a hot job alert. I'm working on a really awesome position right now with a TPA for a commercial auto physical damage adjuster. This job will not be available very long. There's more details about it on my website, crewtalentgroup.com. We are actively submitting for this role right now. I do not think it's going to be open for much longer. So if you are an adjuster out there looking for an awesome home, an awesome place to work, a really cool company, a family run, third generation family owned TPA that really cares about their employee and want to work a really frankly exciting opportunity, please head over to my website, crewtalentgroup.com. It's not going to be there for long, and that's all I'm going to say about it. So super exciting stuff I'm working on. Yeah. Okay, now for an exciting quote. We got it. For those on TikTok who cannot see the quote on my screen, the quote is, the next $1 trillion company will be a software company masquerading as a services firm. That quote is from Julian Beck, who is a venture capitalist, an investor. I saw this quote last night, and it got me all excited, and it got me all riled up, because I know it's like the venture capitalist saying some crazy thing, whatever. I think this is so true, and who knows about the $1 trillion or whatever, but it just in terms of business, specifically in the insurance industry, this is what gets me excited right now. I think this is so true, and you have all these different companies out there right now that are trying to make a name for themselves, trying to grow, new companies, startups, even large companies that have been around for a long time, and a lot of them are service-oriented companies. And I think the ones that are kind of taking that next step, that next level up, are realizing that the software and the service, like the tech piece and the service piece, married together, it is it. And I think a really good example of this is independent adjusting firms, or TPAs, that are utilizing or building their own tech within their platform. So a lot of these companies, like a really good example of this would be the company Elysian, who's a newer company. They're out there building their own claims software company with the goal of empowering skilled adjusters to become better, efficient, more productive, more effective in their roles. And I think in the TPA space and the independent adjusting space, where some of these companies are building tools that make their people do their jobs more effectively, that's the next 10 years of business where we're going to win. And that's kind of what I see for my business too. And so I think it's really, it just got me fired up. I'd love to hear some other thoughts, what other people think about this quote. The next $1 trillion company will be a software company masquerading as a services firm. Again, I think it's a little edgy, but I think that like marriage of technology and services coming together and providing like excellent claim service. You know, we're a customer oriented industry. At the end of the day, we're in customer service, but at the same time, there's so many moving parts. There's so many things going on. The policies are really complex. The construction, the reconstruction, some of these things are so complex. So yeah, I think it's awesome. Boom. Again, this is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. My name is Josh. I hang out every single Tuesday for 1 hour, and we chat about all things careers and claims, getting jobs, working in insurance, what it's like. And so if you have any questions, if you want to pop in the chat, if you want to say hello, this is totally open format. Otherwise, I kind of go through just some topics that I like to talk about, or different things that I'm hearing or seeing within the industry. The first thing on my docket today, let's get this microphone somewhere closer. First thing on my docket today is to talk about social media, and I have been kind of beating this dead horse over the last couple months. But if you are out there searching for a job and you are not utilizing social media, specifically LinkedIn is a good example, but there's definitely other platforms that are valuable as well. You definitely should be utilizing social media for these things. And I think the traditional, can you talk about the avocado parasite infection affecting southern Paraguay? No, this is the insurance. This is the insurance podcast. I don't know anything about the avocado parasite infection, but thank you, Dr. Pepper on TikTok, for tuning in. Vicky with a question on LinkedIn says, I'm an auto appraiser looking for an adjuster position. I have 6 years of experience in estimating from the shop to the field. I have as many years in administrative work. What does it take to cross over into adjusting? I think that's a great question, and I appreciate you joining in and having the courage to put a comment in. I would say it depends on the type of job that you're looking for. I would say that first off, I'd love to connect with you maybe outside of here and we can chat, but it depends on what your background is, and also like what exactly you're looking for. So I think you've got a really, really good background if you're looking for adjusting positions, especially in the auto side. So I would say a great intro into claims adjusting would be like PD work, and that would probably be the best just immediate crossover. I definitely would look at getting, first step, when you're starting applying for jobs and starting to look into the industry, if you're not already, make sure to get your home state license, or at least start working on it. There's definitely positions that they're going to require it. So that would be first step, is work on getting your license. I would look at entry-level adjusting jobs, and there's a couple of different places that you can look for these types of jobs. You can look directly at a carrier, so a company like Allstate or Geico, who is hiring claims adjusters directly onto their teams, is one place. Another place that I would highly recommend taking a look at is different TPAs in your area. This is something else I've kind of talked about a lot on here, and I'm happy to go over it again. But what exactly is a TPA? Is a company that handles claims, and that's how they make money. So their clients are people that write policies but don't necessarily have the expertise, or they just don't want to hire their own claims department. They hire a third-party company, third-party administrator to administrate their claims programs. And these can be really, really good job opportunities for adjusters because you get a lot of different exposure to different types of clients or different types of claims. So I would highly recommend checking out TPAs specifically in your with your background, because I think that could align. I would look at kind of more entry level and kind of like training programs, but I would say that with your background, you have a really good background, and that's a big part of adjusting is estimating. And I think you see it a lot in property claims where people go from being a roofer to an adjuster. And same with auto. You see a lot of people going from the field side, like, hey, I've worked in a shop, I know how to repair cars. Sometimes that's the harder thing to learn, and the insurance piece, the policy piece, the liability piece, the coverage is actually easier to learn than actually estimating the damage on different types of vehicles, I would say. And so a lot of us insurance folks can teach the insurance part, but we have trouble. So I have all the licenses for the Gulf states. Are you looking for staff positions, or are you looking more for like, are you looking for independent work, or are you looking for staff positions? That's my question for you. When I see your name on your profile, as a recruiter, I kind of read that you are looking for independent field work. And for those on TikTok, or for those out there that maybe don't know the difference, a quick breakdown. There's a couple different ways that you can get jobs in insurance. One of them is the traditional route of actually going and getting a job for an insurance company, getting a job from Allstate, getting a job at a TPA, which we just talked about, where you're a full-time employee. And the other side of that is you can actually work as an independent. And what that means, as different types of companies hire you as a business or a contractor out to go provide a lot of times inspection services, although there's different types of services that you could provide. And so a route that a lot of people go in this industry is they become independent adjusters. They go out and they get work kind of just like different companies send them different work. And a lot of it's catastrophe based. And so, like, especially if you're independent, you know, if a big hurricane hits and there's thousands of claims all of a sudden because of that hurricane, there's a lot of demand for work and there's a lot of really good money. And so that's a different route you can take, not as stable as working full-time for a company, but sometimes the ceiling for the amount of money that you can make is a lot higher. So there's just a couple different options. Neither one's better than the other. It's just kind of different things that you can do. Looking for remote jobs, I would say it is very difficult right now for people breaking into the industry to find remote work. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm not saying that it can't be done. What I'm saying is, for every remote entry-level job, I'm seeing 10 in-office or hybrid jobs. And so I understand like lifestyle, and I mean, I work remote. I can't talk, right? Like I'm in my house right now, drinking my coffee, hanging out with my dog. So I totally understand the work-life balance and why people want to work remote. Just being realistic, it's much more difficult to get someone to kind of train someone who's newer in insurance to get remote jobs. It seems to be kind of a national trend to bring people back into the office. I know a lot of the companies are doing it right now. Companies like Chubb are back in the office 4 days. AIG, Geico is hybrid. So it's becoming increasingly more difficult to get remote positions. Not going to say they don't exist. They certainly do. I'm working on the company I'm working with right now does a lot of remote work. In terms of independent adjusting, there certainly are remote assignments during catastrophe. There's also, a lot of the companies have large offices, and especially if you're new, they'll prefer the newer people to go into the office. I know there's offices in the big firms have them in Irving, Mobile. I think Pilot's out of Mobile. Might find some in in Florida as well. But yeah, that's just my observation working in the industry, kind of seeing things over the last couple years, especially. It seems to be tougher and tougher to get remote work, especially. And what I will say is, if you've got 15 years of experience in the industry and you're a home run hitter, it's going to be easier to get a remote job because people need that expertise. But just to be frank about the industry and kind of the state of the industry, what we're seeing right now, I think it's a mix of a lot of different things, but one of the things that I'm seeing is especially the property side. So property adjusters, you're seeing that the workflow has changed and the amount of jobs that are available is sparse. And so two reasons because of that. One, catastrophic weather events are way down. And that's what drives the industry, especially on the property side. And so catastrophic events are way down. Technology is rapidly advancing the tools in which field adjusters use. 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, you're measuring an entire house roof with a tape measure. Now you're spending $20 and getting a satellite image with measurements that ESX goes right into your Xactimate. So it's becoming easier to do the work because of some of the tools, and that mixed with the catastrophic work's been at catastrophically low, which is a good thing for policyholders and a good thing for insurance companies. But if you rely on catastrophic weather events for your income, it's been a tough couple of years. This industry is largely driven by the hurricanes, largely driven by hail. We're starting to see some hail, which means that there's more and more jobs available to handle those hail claims. But long story short, what I'm trying to say here is because of all these factors, there's a lot of people out there that are looking for work, and a lot of really solid, experienced people that are looking for work, especially on the property side. A lot of people in property are looking to pivot kind of into a different direction because of the lack of jobs. And so it is tougher and tougher to kind of break in. Because you're competing with people that you traditionally wouldn't necessarily be competing with for entry-level jobs. But yeah, thanks so much, Vicky. Send me an email, josh@crewtalentgroup.com. I would love to connect with you outside of this and chat more, kind of see what your goals are and see if I can assist in any way. And yeah, that's what we do here. This is a podcast. This is the live stream. Every single week we go live. We talk all things careers and insurance. We connect with people, learn about your background. So I'd love to hear from you if you're out there on TikTok, if you're out there on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Thanks so much for tuning in. Yeah, this is Claims Recruiter office hours every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We go live and talk about jobs and insurance. But yeah, I was talking about on my little TV over here on this side. You can't see it on TikTok, but social media is such an awesome tool that you can and should be using in your job search if you're not already. LinkedIn especially, it's totally free to use. It's very easy to use. Just very basic things like adding your job history, putting your skills, putting a profile picture, putting a little headline about who you are and what you do, what types of jobs you might be looking for. Every single recruiter who's worth, I would say 99% of good recruiters on this planet are on LinkedIn. They use LinkedIn as a tool to go out and find people. And what I'm finding as a recruiter in my day-to-day, traditional job boards, traditional job methods of getting jobs, going on Indeed.com, looking up cool jobs in my area, hitting the apply button, getting a call the next day saying you get an interview, and then getting hired. It doesn't happen like that anymore. These tools are terrible. They've been totally infiltrated by the robots, right? You put a job on Indeed.com, you throw $600 advertising budget at it, and you get 600 applications, all built by robots with people that have no experience or relevance in whatever industry you're working in. And so it sucks. It's a terrible experience for people who are applying to jobs. It's a terrible experience for recruiters. It's a terrible experience for companies that are trying to maintain a brand image and trying to look good and trying to attract talent to their companies. Nobody's winning on Indeed.com. But I tell you what, I would say every single job, the last, I don't know how many jobs that I've worked, has been me going on different social media sites, and I use every single one of them. I use all of them. You don't have to use all of them. LinkedIn is a really great place to start. I'm trying to think what social media platforms am I on? Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Strava, Discord, Xbox. What else? Reddit. What else am I on? That I'm on every single, and so I connect with people on all these different platforms. I think social media, the internet, is the future. I think it's the now. I think it is the future. But you can leverage these tools to help you get jobs. Literally last week, connected with someone on Facebook. Interview with the company later. So what I'm trying to say is, as recruiters are using all of these social media tools, you as a job seeker should certainly be at least thinking about it. We're on there. We're poaching these sites. We're going in these forums. We're looking everywhere that we possibly can. And Facebook works a heck of a lot better than Indeed, and it's way cheaper. So that's all I'm saying is you don't have to change your Facebook page to your job seeking profile. That's not what I'm trying to get at here. But think about maybe one or two of these platforms, how you can strategically connect with people. It's all about networking and human connection. It's less about screen to screen, resume to black hole on Indeed. It's more about actually getting human connection with the people that you want to work with the hiring managers, with the companies that you want to be at. And how do you get that human connection? 10 years ago, you used to walk in and shake someone's hand. It's a lot harder to do that nowadays. You can't just walk into most offices and meet with somebody. But, and I'm not saying message them on Facebook, guys, just to be clear. But you can reach out you can connect with them on LinkedIn. You can start liking their posts when they post. You can make an insightful comment on their LinkedIn profile, and that's gonna help you connect with people. And that's what job seeking and all this is all about at the end of the day. It's just connecting with other human beings. You're on this fireball that's floating around the universe at a bajillion miles an hour. So happy Tuesday, everybody. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hour, a weekly live stream. We rockin'. Shout out TikTok if you're out there watching on TikTok. Say hello. Okay, my mouse, where did it go? Okay, so we just go through, I've got questions lined up that I have heard throughout the week, or sometimes I find these questions on social media or different sites around the world. We talk about them live. If you got questions, feel free to pop in the chat. Feel free to say hello. We keep rocking. I just secured my first claims interview. Any tips? First off, where did I put my button? Where did I put? Oh, it's hidden. First off, we got some. We got the trap horn. Shout out to whoever this is. I'm not gonna say any names, but first interview. That's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. Congrats on getting your interview. It's a tough market right now. So let's talk basic interview tips. I could probably do an hour on this. I'm not going to do an hour on this right now, but we can talk about some of it. Basic interview tips. The first thing that you need to do is you need to prepare for your interview by understanding what exactly you're walking into. The interview is not the time for you to ask questions like, tell me a little bit more about the company. I'd love to learn. You want to learn specifics about the job. You want to learn about the team, but you should walk into this interview understanding everything that you possibly can about the company that you're working in, the position that you're going in, what that's going to look like. And so you need to do some good research, and there's some really good ChatGPT prompts that you can do that can help you out with this. Check out their company, check out their leadership teams. Go find their president and their directors and some of their people on LinkedIn and see what they're posting about. See if there's been any recent news articles about the company. And so the first thing you can do is research the company. The second thing you need to do is be prepared in every sense of the word. You need to make sure that when you show up to this interview that you're on time, that you're a little bit early, not too early to make it weird, but maybe sit in the parking lot for 15 minutes if that's what you got to do. So get to the interview on time. You need to be dressed appropriately. There is no such thing as overdressing for an interview. I mean, you don't want to wear a prom dress, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to look very professional. The insurance industry is still kind of suit and tie thing. So, dude, if you're applying for entry-level administrative assistant and you walk in with a suit, you're killing it. So there's no such thing as overdressed unless you're wearing a ball gown. Just basic things in the interview, you know, make sure that you shake someone's hand, you look them in the eye, make sure you sit up straight. You know, if they say, hey, would you like a coffee or a glass of water, don't order an Americano or a latte. You know, say, hey, I'll take a glass of water. You need to be prepared about what questions they might ask you. One place that you can learn this is on Glassdoor.com. You can literally go look at reviews that other people have put about a company, and they'll tell you the questions that they ask you. But you can also use ChatGPT and come up with a lot of questions that you would anticipate while interviewing for a certain role, what you might get. Another interview tip, and this is not, again, sexy, but it is important, and it's the best advice that I can give, is you need to get familiar with STAR interview responses. What does that stand for? Situation, task, action, result. STAR. Basically, it's these questions that everybody hates in an interview when they say, tell me about a time when. You want to talk about a situation that's happened to you, a task, the task that happened as a result of that. I had a customer screaming at me in line when I was working as a checkout person at Walmart. I had an uncomfortable situation and I had to figure out what to do because of it, because I had more customers in line and I had a very vocal, unhappy customer. They were upset because the milk that they had was the wrong type of milk and it didn't get the discount. The action that I took was I shut my register down, sprinted to the back of the store, grabbed the correct milk, came to the back front, and the result was the customer was no longer unhappy. They appreciated my prompt recovery of the ever so important milk, and we all went along with our day. STAR, situation, task, action, result. Practice that. Practice those types of questions. Tell me about a time when you had to deal with an upset customer. Tell me about a time when your workflow felt like it was unmanageable. Tell me about a time when you didn't know what to do at work. Tell me about a time when you fixed something that was broken or saw efficiency in how you could do something. Those are all questions that you might get as an entry-level claims adjuster, so be ready to answer all of those. Thank the person for the interview. Send a follow-up thank you email, very nice, the next day, and then let me know how it goes. That's my interview tips for today. What else you got? Who's got interview tips? Who's interviewed recently? Anybody got tips? Those would be my interview tips. I certainly could probably come up with some more. The biggest thing is you want to be prepared. One I didn't mention there is you want to ask a couple of good questions. And again, the questions that you ask shouldn't be like, where's the company located? Or you don't want to ask things that you can find online. You want to ask intricate details that make you look like you know what you're talking about, right? If I start asking detailed questions about the types of claims that I might be handling or certain situations that I would foresee us getting in, how would that company deal with it maybe compared to a different company, or questions about the technology that they use. Those types of questions, you want to know the answers, but you also want to just establish yourself as like, hey, I understand what exactly is going on here, and I'm your guy because I'm asking these questions that, someone who doesn't maybe understand it is asking. So congrats on the interview. Let me know how it goes. Recruiter is ghosting me. What should I do? I've gotten this so many times recently, and it grinds my gears a bit, makes me upset, because I'm a recruiter. It's my job. It's your job as a recruiter to keep your candidates informed. And it irritates me so much when this type of stuff happens. Look, I get it. We're busy. There's a lot of stuff going on. We also have AI tools to help us do this. You can literally write these emails in your CRM using AI. It takes 3 seconds. And so, first off, sorry if this has happened to you. I'm sorry. I've literally heard just horror stories this last week. I had someone telling me about how somebody reached out to them for a job, asked them for them when to interview, called them late at night, and then just ghosted them. It's like that stuff is just wild to me. Like, you know, you're headhunting somebody and then you just ghost them. It's so easy to just send an email. And look, I know these aren't great conversations. It's part of the job. It's part of what we sign up for. It's part of what we do. When I work a job, typically I have 3 to 4 people interviewing for one opening, which means more people that I work with don't get jobs than people that do get jobs, which sucks. And it's the worst part of the job for me. I wish everybody that I worked with got a job. But that's just how the world goes. That's how companies operate, and that's how it is. But it is vitally important for me as a recruiter to remain credible in this industry and to have people that will want to work with me and want to work with the companies that I work with. And it's also important to the companies that I work with that if I'm speaking to someone about a job, I don't just open that loop and let it go forever. So I'm not doing that. That's my commitment to you or anybody that I work with. I'm not going to withhold bad news from you. I'm going to give you bad news as soon as I get it. I'm going to give honest feedback. Is there certain times where maybe I can't give 100% exactly what the company said? Certainly. But I'm going to give you as honest feedback as I can in that moment, and timely. And to me, I've always kind of taken it where I don't like to hold the information. So even if I get the information, it's 7 o'clock at night. If I see it, I'll pass it along. Or if I get it at Friday and I don't want to ruin your weekend. No, I'm the type of person where I think the timeliness is important to be able to, if you're telling someone, hey, look, you know, we end up going with a different person. It's not for me to decide when they get that information. They get that information when I get the information, and that's just kind of how I've always operated. So sorry if you've been ghosted or personally victimized by a recruiter recently. It sucks. It's the worst. It's not all of us. It's just a select few of crappy ones of us. But another thing I will say is, you know, it's important when you are getting solicited by somebody online, and I certainly do the soliciting at times. Go look at them. Go snoop around a bit at this person to see what they're like, what they're talking about. It's part of the reason I do this podcast, this live stream, is because I want to have credibility when I speak about things, and I want people to know that I work in this industry, I work in this niche. This is all I do. So when I go and reach out to you and say, hey, I've got this cool job in insurance, you can look at my profile for 2 minutes and be like, yeah, this guy knows what the heck he's talking about. He's not on there talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves beating the San Antonio Spurs last night. Anthony Edwards looking amazing and his bone bruise disappearing. You know, I'm talking about insurance. But the T-Wolves did look good. But yeah, that's part of why I do it. You know, if someone's hitting you up and saying, hey, I got this awesome job, do you want to interview, or I got this really cool opportunity, click on their profile and look at them and give a 3-minute look and say, is this someone that I want to be working with? Is what they're saying aligning up with what they're portraying online? And if you're hesitant for a second, that's your answer. But if it's a dude every week that goes live and talks about insurance careers and posts 5 times a week on LinkedIn about what it's like to work in insurance and claims jobs and this, and he's hitting you up saying, hey, you got this opportunity in claims, maybe that's someone worth talking to. I don't know. My coffee's getting low, which means we got 20 minutes left. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. I go live every single Tuesday. We talk about issues, things happening in the insurance industry, claims, getting jobs in insurance. So if you got questions or want to tune in, say hello in the chat. We have John in the Comment saying, I think it's very unprofessional. The industry or profession is not relevant. However, when skills you seek is communication, the seeker fails in their own communication. This does not speak very much for their own skill sets. Good or bad communication should be delivered. I've heard this from many individuals over the past several years. The sad part is when I speak with people who are sought out by the recruiter and not looking for an opportunity. No one is that busy, in my opinion. Yeah, that's the worst. I agree with that 100%. I literally just talked to somebody this week who was talking about how they were solicited by a recruiter online about a position and then scheduled like 3 subsequent calls, and then they just ghosted them on all these calls. And that's just crazy to me. And I'm sure it's like short-term things, right? You schedule this call, and then all of a sudden you have something up a little more high value that pops up. It's all about being able to manage your time. If you want to be a recruiter, or if you want to work in claims, you need to learn how to manage your time. And it's difficult because you have a million different things going on. I've talked to recruiters who have 25 different recs open at one time. I typically don't take that many jobs. That's too many. But I've talked to like corporate recruiters who've got 25 recs going on at once, and it's crazy. That's a crazy amount. But yeah, that baffles me when I hear this person reached out to me and scheduled an interview and then ghosted me. And like, you don't know what happened. Maybe they lost the job. Maybe they never had the job. Maybe there wasn't a job. That's the other thing. You don't really know. They could have been trying to fight. This is something that here's a peek into the window of a recruiter. Some recruiters do this thing where I see a job online, and what I'll do, and I don't do this. I know there's a lot of really skilled, very good agency recruiters like myself that do this. I take a little bit different approach to it. I do look kind of a different form of this, but they call it the most placeable candidate. So I go online and I find a company who's hiring so-and-so. They have a job posting online. What they'll do is they'll go out and try and find a couple candidates that match with that position. And then they'll go to that company and say, hey, I want to do a deal with you. I've got really good candidates for your open job, and they're ready to work. Would you want to interview them? And they'll give a couple little details. So here's a little bit about the person. And then they don't get the job, right? So they're interviewing you for a job that does exist, but they don't really have it, or they don't have any form of contract or anything for it. And so they do it as a way to win a deal. And it seems maybe shady. I think it's pretty well established practice. I think there's different ways. I don't do it exactly like that. I'll reach out to a company truly if I see, and honestly, I don't do a whole lot of cold outreach. I've tried it. I know everyone says do all this cold outreach. I haven't been successful doing cold outreach. Most of my clients have come in because they've seen my online presence and they've reached out to me, and that's worked out really great for me. But yeah, there's certain times where I'll say something like, hey, I saw you've had this opening for 3 months. I recruit specifically in this industry, and I've connected with a number of individuals who I think might be good for it. But at the end of the day, I need to understand what a company is looking for. And I can't a lot of times look at a job posting and be like, oh, I got the perfect person for you, because I don't really know you yet. And I have to understand what that perfect person for you looks like. So I don't do that whole marketing thing, but I do the NPC thing. I do a little bit of like the outbound stuff where it's like, hey, I see you got this job posting. You know, this is where I live. I live here. But it hasn't been super successful for me, and I don't know if I'm going to keep doing it. But yeah, that's when you see some of this ghosting, that's what I think about. It's like, does this agency recruiter actually even have the job, or are they just trying to drum up business for themselves? And I think where I don't like that, and I understand why people do it, and I'm not saying that they're bad people that do it. It's frankly an accepted practice, but it feels a little bit icky to me to use kind of a candidate that way. And I think the job the job hunting kind of idea and mentality it becomes so soul sucking because people that are looking for a job rely on that for income for their families. And to kind of like to play with those emotions when you don't have to, when you're a company and you say, I don't want to hire that person, it's not really emotional, it's just business. But on the other side of that, if someone's getting that information, you can be like, oh, it's just business, but it's emotional for them, and it's personal, and it hurts them sometimes. And sometimes they're like, you getting that response on a, like you as a recruiter reaching into their inbox and saying, hey, I have this perfect opportunity for you, maybe just another message in your book, but for them that could be like life-changing for them. And so people's emotions just go up and down, and then you just ghost them. You can't play with someone like that, and it's more than just a business deal to someone who's seeking a job and struggling to provide for their family and have maybe been out of work for a while. And so that's why this grinds my gears so much, and why I hate it so much, and why it gets me so amped up, and I talk about it for like 8 minutes. But yeah, sorry if this has happened for you. There's a little background, a little bit of things in the industry that I see, kind of why that happens. But yeah, sorry, I can't excuse anyone that does it. What up, TikTok? This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream where I go live every single Tuesday and we talk about working in insurance, claims, recruiting, careers. My goal is to help 100 people get jobs in the insurance industry in the year 2026. And so we hang out and go live, and that's what the whole purpose of this show is. So say hello in the chat if you're out there. I'd love to hear from you. What's on your mind this week? What are you thinking about? Let's keep on rocking. Let's see. The IA industry is slow right now. Is the IA industry slow right now? Am I doing anything wrong? Again, I could talk about this topic for a very long time. It's picking up, right? The IA property industry specifically, and if you're on TikTok or if you're brand new and don't know necessarily what independent adjusting is when you get a license to work as a licensed professional claims adjuster, and then you take contract jobs to typically do catastrophe related inspection services. Now there's all kinds of different services that you could offer as an independent adjuster, or ways that people do make money, but the most common way is to do inspection services either locally in your area, or a lot of times people will travel state to state on large catastrophe deployments, is what we call them in the industry. And so it's not a traditional job type. You're working as a small business owner. You're doing marketing, you're doing advertising for your business, trying to get jobs, and then a lot of times you're the one out there actually doing the work, getting on the roofs, inspecting the damage, inspecting the vehicles, doing liability inspections, whatever it might be. The independent adjusting industry as a whole right now is way down. The largest reason for that is the lack of large catastrophic weather events. Now, if you've been following the news, you've seen some very large hail in the last several weeks. You've seen some tornadoes, you've seen some flooding. And so that is typical for this time of year. May is kind of when things pick up. And so is it slow right now? Yes, it's slow right now across the board. The other thing that's affecting the industry, I would say, is some changes in the laws and the way that they do work. One of the laws that I can speak at plainly is there's been a lot of lawsuits, and in these lawsuits, a lot of times you see the big news stories. The base of the news story is so-and-so adjuster came out to my house and they looked at the damage and they told me this was covered or this was all good. And then it went to the secondary adjuster, the desk adjuster who actually works for the company, and they said, no, it's not good. And I'm going to sue now because this person told me there was more and I want more. And what's happening, I think a lot of times, especially in states like Florida, where there's very specific laws around what has to be shared with the person filing the claim, is they're getting sued over and over because these discrepancies. And instead of sending out a licensed professional adjuster on the front end now, they're saying we're getting sued because these people are giving wrong information to our policyholders. We're not going to send out an adjuster anymore. We're going to just send out a damaged person because that damaged person isn't going to make promises that an adjuster would make. And that's one change that I think we've seen. Part of it's legislation driven and part of it is lawsuit driven, but it's driving down the need for adjusters, and companies are finding alternative workflows using companies like Hancock and Ladder Now, and even adjusting companies we're seeing doing what's called a scope only assignment, which is not a full adjustment assignment. And so the workflow is certainly changing. The other thing is that technology is rapidly advancing, and the tools in which we use to adjust claims are getting better, making it so it's easier to do the job, and therefore the pay goes down. The number of claims that you can do goes up. And so we're seeing these rapid shifts, and I think it's apparent that the pay is going down, but you always ask yourself, like, why? So the pay per claim is down, but can you still make really good money in this industry? And I think absolutely, and I know people who make really good money in this industry still. But here's the truth of it, is 20 years ago, you had to go and draw a diagram of a house. You had to measure it with a tape measure. You had to get your pen and paper out. You had to pull up your rock. You had to etch into the rock all the different roof elevations, the amount of shingles, all this stuff. You had to calculate it on your own. I literally can have, I can stick a camera in a room, and it's going to take a 3D image of the room using technology from a company called DocuSketch. It can take a 3D image of that room. It can measure out all the walls. It can take that, it can load it into my Xactimate, and I don't have to even pull out a tape measure. My inspection takes so much less time. Now I have 4K image that I can refer back to look at damages. I can actually move around the room 360, look it up. And so you have all these tools nowadays that make the job so much easier and more efficient. And then we wonder why the fee schedules go down. It's because you can do 4 in a day as compared to 2 in a day. And you can use some of these technology things. So you got to look at the grand scheme and not just the individual assignment. Hey, I'm going to make less money on this assignment, but hey, maybe I can do, 4 claims a day now on a hurricane instead of 1 or 2, and still make really good money doing it. But yeah, to answer this question, the independent adjusting industry is certainly in a dip right now, and time will tell. We'll see how it recovers. I hope it does. I hope we get busy. I hope all these adjusters out here looking for work get jobs. But at the same time, it may not be the time anymore to put all your eggs in that basket. And there's a really great other jobs, other opportunities, other career paths that are out there and available to you. And I think it's worth exploring. And one specific place that I think is exploding right now in the insurance industry and will continue to have need in the future is commercial auto adjusters. And it's a really interesting field to be in. I think the liability piece is interesting. In addition to commercial auto, I think anything that has liability or bodily injury is going to be big too. So like general liability adjusters, and we're talking claims like I got sick from a hot dog that I ate in 7-Eleven. Well, someone's got to go investigate that claim. Or I slipped and fell at a baseball game and I broke my leg, and now I'm suing the baseball stadium because it's their fault. And so claims like that, it's always going to require a human expertise, and those skill sets are becoming harder and harder to find. And as society gets kind of more sue happy, we're seeing a greater need for these. So those are the types of jobs, if I was starting out in the industry today, that I would start to look towards. And then on top of that, I would say anything where it's very specialized. So maybe you're like the crane guy or gal out there, and you know everything about how cranes operate and the specifics about the crane policies and how they're different from the normal construction teams. And I'm just making stuff up. I'm spitballing, but those are the types of things that I'm seeing. Are, you'll see these positions where it's like, I need someone who's a expert in cannabis product liability claims. So when a dispensary gets sued because someone ate a gummy and got sick, that line of insurance is booming right now, and they need people to work those jobs. And that may seem crazy or weird, but it's a really exciting space to be in right now. And what I'm trying to say is, if I'm an adjuster out there and I'm looking to get my first job or getting my foot in the door, these are some of the types of the jobs I really don't think you should sleep on. I think you should take a look at, and I think these are going to be really good opportunities from now and in the future. So that's how I would look at it. See what else is out there. What up, TikTok? We vibing out here on TikTok, everybody. We live every single, what is this, Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We go live here on TikTok. We go live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube for 1 hour. We talk all things claims adjusting, recruiting, getting jobs and claims. It is my goal to get 100 people, or to help 100 people get jobs in insurance in the year 2026. So far, we are up to 18 wonderful souls getting jobs in insurance. It is May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, so we're almost halfway through the year, which means I need to help a lot more people by the end of the year. But we're getting there. We're working, and honestly, if I just help one person, good enough for me. So we go live every single Tuesday. We talk about insurance claims, jobs, careers, insurance. That's what we do. Say hello if you're in the chat. Would love to hear from you. Let's see what I'm not getting all of my questions today, but we're getting close. Oh yeah, I skipped around a bit. No, let's talk about something else. How much do titles matter in insurance claims? This is a great question. I got this kind of in an interview and talking to somebody recently, and so I thought I'd talk about it. Titles don't mean jack. They don't mean anything. As a recruiter, I want to know what you do. I want to know what your actual responsibilities are. I have seen wild titles, and I get it. Companies, do whatever they want, but titles don't mean anything. It's all about like what the impact that you had on the business unit that you were working on. So you could be a director, you could be CEO, you could be founder, you could be claims recruiter, you could be janitor, for all I care. It's all about what you actually did. I don't care if you're VP, I don't care if you're director, I don't care if you're an individual. It just depends on the alignment, right? The alignment is all that matters. There's certain people that are VP level at one company that would be manager level at another. It's just how it is. You see like businesses inflate titles sometimes, especially on like I don't know, I don't want to give an example, but yeah, I at the end of the day, I mean, I talked to a director yesterday who had a claim load. Like, I would say it's pretty most director level folks don't have it, but at the same time, it was kind of a weird title because they were an expert in what they did. And so they got the director title probably to get like a pay band for someone who was doing super high level work, but at the same time was an individual contributor. And so again, like, titles don't matter. It's not that this guy shouldn't have been a director or he should have been. I think it doesn't matter, right? The company saw value in what he did. They paid him accordingly. He was doing great. It doesn't matter what his title is. But at the same time, I'm not going to be like, oh, a director, you should have a director level job here. Maybe it's all about compensation alignment, making sure that you have the skills and necessary things. The titles don't matter. Likewise, I've seen people with small titles that are doing a lot of work that maybe should be bigger titles. Again, titles don't matter. Titles don't matter. It's all about what the work that you were doing and how it aligns to the role that you're looking at. So I do. I mean, I get it. Like, it does kind of. It's a little ego thing. It's a little like it is cool to have like a certain title. I've always kind of joked that what if I like put janitor on my emails? So I don't know. I think that'd be maybe I'm the only person that finds that funny, but just like I'm the Crew Talent Group janitor. I'm the owner. I'm the founder. I'm the managing partner. I'm also the janitor. I'm also the tax guy. I'm also the recruiter. I'm also the marketing person. I'm also the janitor, baby. Mom, I made it. I have a live stream and I'm a janitor. This has been the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. If you're just tuning in, thanks so much for joining. If you've been on here this whole time, I don't know how you do it. Just kidding. But thanks so much for tuning in. I go live every single Tuesday, except next Tuesday I'm off. The first time in 19 weeks. This is my 19th episode. I will be not here next Tuesday. I will be back the following Tuesday. The first time in 19 weeks, I'm taking a day off. I will be out on Tuesday. I will be back the following week. It'll be sad. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, I don't know. We'll see. But thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for joining. All the millions of people watching. You have a fantastic Cinco de Mayo.